Hey, oh, welcome to another episode of Off the Beaten Path. I almost dropped my phone, but this is your new favorite podcast. And today we have Starbenders. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Hi, we're good.
Awesome, thanks.
And thanks for coming on. And when did you guys kind of get started? 2013, 14?
Yeah, it was that was when the foundation of everything came together, and we were fully formed by probably about 2017, I think, 2018. When was it, Emily?
2016, I think.
16. Okay. Whenever Emily joined, that's when we were like complete. So that's kind of like what we consider to be the one was high school, one was college. So we entered another level at that time. So, but yeah, Aaron's been with me since the very beginning, and then a year after we got started, Chris fell into our lives, and then a couple of years after that, Emily, and then now we're fully formed.
Fully formed. The rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kimi, I know you and Aaron had played in a previous project before, but where did y'all meet Chris?
We met him at a house party. He was playing with another band, and we kind of snaked him, but I think it worked out okay.
And what was that previous band y'all were in?
So it was a band that was put together by our producer and manager, Nico Constantine. He was working as a music director and producer and writer for them. And it was kind of a project they were putting together around this one kid, just getting studio musicians and stuff like that. And so that's how Aaron and I came to meet. And that band actually never, we recorded a whole record, but we never made it to the stage. So after that kind of fizzled out, which it was still a great experience for both of us. We learned a lot. And so we definitely got a lot from it. And what especially we got from it was knowing that we wanted to stay working together in a different capacity. So Nico kind of, so as soon as that fell apart, I was like, oh shit, I kind of saw the boat leaving the harbor, and I'm like, wait for me, I want to keep working with this guy. And so I was like, shit, what do I do? Because at that time I was pretty much just working and living as a guitarist, and I hadn't sang for another band or anything before. And so I quickly went home and wrote a couple things and sent him some demos, and he said, great, write 2 more like it, and we'll go into the studio next week and put a band together. And so I called Aaron right away.
Yeah, when that band, our first band fell apart, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had hit the road with my friend's band as a fill-in guitarist, and then when I got home, I realized I didn't have anything to do. And it was probably a week after I got home that my phone rang, and it was Kimi, and she's like, dude, let's do another band. Everybody else is on board. Nico's in, let's go. And yeah, I frequently tell people that was a call that changed my life. Otherwise I wouldn't be here.
The key.
Let's touch on Nico, because it seems like he's been a part of you guys even before, but throughout you guys' career so far. So what role does he play in producing and shit?
First of all, he's gonna hate that we're talking about him.
I know, yeah.
Which is great. But he's functioned as our 5th Beatle, and he's been kind of like a sensei to me, and the other band members as well. But he just is very pure in his intentions and in his energy, and he just really believes in rock and roll and music, and just loves music and wants to see us win. And we've been able to kind of be fostered within his guidance with that. And so that's my say on that.
Yeah, I like the term sensei. I've always thought of Nico as like a rock and roll guru,
Yeah.
because working in the studio with him, he just believes in rock and roll, and our recording experiences and writing experiences are always awesome. It's, he'll pull out mics, he will pull out different techniques and amps, and it's just about getting things done in service of rock and roll. It's had a pretty big impact on our band, I would say, at least for me personally.
Yeah, he's super old school in his techniques as far as like studio and recording goes, which is always like, it's kind of a dying art form at this point.
It's nice having him at the shows too, because sometimes he'll come out on the road with us and like help us dial in the sound check and everything. So it's just good to have that extra set of ears.
Right. And I mean, yeah, he seems like he's been pivotal, and I like the word pure, because in the music industry, I feel like that's something that's really hard to find, are people that are pure and genuinely with just for the love of it instead of for the money grab or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't even let us get started on that.
Yeah.
I could only imagine. And, something else where I picked up on is sensei. So you guys come out with an EP, Japanese Rooms. Is it true that the physical copies were only released in Japan?
It is.
And does Japanese culture play into it, because you guys actually toured Japan, so you have fans over there? Like, how did you get the Japan audience?
Well, we met our label over there. We got this long, kind of poorly translated to English message from this guy named Tetsu, and he was just saying how much he dug us and that he wanted to offer us a Japanese deal over there, and really just wanted to bring rock and roll back, and really believed in what we were doing. And we had nothing to go on, and he basically was like, if you respond to this and pick me up on this, like, I will know that you guys are the right band. So we said yes, and we did it, and we flew over there and did our first tour, and it was an amazing experience. It could have gone anyway, but there was enough for us to go on to where we knew that there was a lot to uncover with it. And the name of that EP, Japanese Rooms, came from the feeling that we first got when we went there, because everything's small, like all the rooms are small, and like all of the spaces are small, the cars are small, but the statues and the temples are big, which that's a great metaphor in and of itself. But the kind of idea of having to be aware of your space and the space that you're occupying, and to be considerate of others. And so in the Japanese culture, it's a big part of the culture is to be considerate of where you are, how much space you're taking. Like, you don't just, like, if you're on an escalator, everybody goes to one side, they're not all strangely placed and things like that. And so it's Japanese Rooms was just that feeling, like, of coming from America over there and bumping into walls, and just sort of realizing that there was this whole other layer of awareness and presence that comes with it. And that's sort of where that title and everything came from.
Yeah, and I mean, Asian cultures, they are very considerate, because we were bitching about having to go out and wear a mask, but when they get sick, just I got a cold, they put a mask on because they're being sick. I don't want to pass this to anyone else. So
you can actually see pictures of us on our second Japan tour. I ended up getting sick. I think Chris did too. There's pictures of us where, like, Chris and I have masks on because that's just what you do there.
Yeah. I really like that, especially the idea of Japanese Rooms as well. Like, you're coming from America going into someone else's culture, so being only being respectful, but also being considerate as them and
Yeah.
seeing the difference.
And that first hotel room, my large suitcase probably took up half of the room.
Yeah.
It was so difficult.
Yeah, like the little showers, like the bathrooms, everything, you like go in there. I mean, it's a trip. It's a trip.
Yeah.
Everything's micro, and they love like tiny stuff too. Like everything's tiny. You know?
The first night we were there, I think we rolled in about 10 p.m. local time, and we decided we were going to get some food. We all love ramen, so we went to a ramen shop across the street. And I don't know what we were thinking. I'm sure we were all really tired, but it's not like going to Canada where, you can just go and pay with American dollars, or like, I don't know what we expected, but we were ready to pay for our meal. And they said, yeah, we don't take anything like that. Your cards, your cash, like, and also this was like, some painful translation. So I think Chris had to go figure out how to exchange currency like within like a few minutes, and he did pull it off. But yeah, there were some times where like just getting there was like a bit of a culture shock, and you do kind of learn that the world's a little bit bigger than you, and when you come into someone else's house, you kind of play by their rules.
Yeah. Especially being stuck on a plane for 13 hours too. You have to work through that jet lag.
Yeah.
I could only imagine. And yeah, I've never been, overseas or out of the country, period. So I've been to a lot of states, but that's not a culture shock like going to a completely different country. So I could only imagine.
Yeah. That was my first time, like, other than going to Canada, that was my first time like being out of the country. So it's definitely was super surreal.
I bet. Very nice.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little more to the beginning. What's your kind of inspirations? Because your sound is, like you said, it's bringing rock and roll back, because so many people say rock and roll is dead. So what's your inspirations?
I've always just allowed to come out whatever was gonna come out, and it pulls from a lot of different things. Like everything I listen to and that we listen to comes out in what we do. And I've never, thankfully, and this kind of circles back to Nico as well, he's always encouraged me to not be too focused on the end point of how it's going to be perceived or what genre is or whatever. Just like write the thing and then figure out what it is. And I think a lot of times, especially once you like move up in the ranks with being on labels and all that kind of stuff, and you're like thinking like, okay, like we need to write something that's good for radio or good for this or good for that. Like sometimes it can get a little murky because you're thinking in those terms. And thankfully it's just been, I've continued to be pointed back to just allowing whatever's in there. And like, that's why our musical style is so all encompassing, because like I and the band, like we've been allowed to just be free with our inspiration and not be too much of the same thing. And so it's funny like listening to the full range of our music and like knowing that it's coming from the same writer, like it's not, to me, I'm always like, oh, it's just multi-spectral. Like and I think that there's lots of artists from back in the day that were allowed to be like that. And I think that's why you had, records like a Cheap Trick record that had like Gonna Raise Hell, but also Dream Police on the same record. Like, it's these multi inspirational things. And in that way, I feel like we are like bands of the old, because we've been allowed to be fully artistic. And that's something that's been really missing from rock and from modern rock, because it got very algorithmic and just completely castrated. They chopped the nuts right off, rock and roll. And so I don't know, we have this unique ability to just kind of let it rip. And so I mean, some days we'll be inspired by Fleetwood Mac and Prodigy and Outcast, and like that's like what goes into one song, you know. And it's like, how do those things work together? I'm like, they work together because they're being filtered through like our group mind, like our souls and everything like that. And so it's all over the place, and it's awesome, you know.
Yeah. And you can really, you know, hear it in the music because, you know, just listening to Love Potions, like you can hear, you know, from one record to the next, it has that Starbender sound, but may not, it's like y'all ain't pigeonholed, you know. So it does kind of remind me of like, you know, just Jimi Hendrix playing live, you know, like y'all have like a live sound, like he would just improvise and be high on acid and just fucking around. And that's what I get from y'all, is like, it doesn't have to be super polished and bridge, chorus, verse, you know, like, so I really love that about y'all.
Well, a lot of the stuff you hear on the records, a lot of that stuff is tracked live, you know, to some degree. We kind of think rock and roll is an attitude and a lifestyle, not really a genre. So it doesn't matter what you do, as long as it takes place in the context of that spirit of rebellion, that spirit of like unencumbered expression and freedom, it's going to sound like rock and roll, because that's what rock and roll is and is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a certain type of song structure. It's not supposed to be a certain timbre. You know, it's a personality. It's an attitude. And I think when you do it that way, anything you do is going to sound rock and roll.
Yeah, and I appreciate that explanation. Like when listening to it, like so many songs don't sound the same. They almost kind of stand alone. But each one has that rock and roll, what you just described as attitude, whether it sounds more in like the pop genre or like the new wave genre or the punk or like just classic, what we think of as rock and roll. They all have that same vibe, even though the genre label might be slightly different.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yo, 100%. And so to name a couple bands, we got like Born of Osiris, Asking Alexandria, Pal Royale, the Smashing Pumpkins. What these have in common is y'all are label mates. So being signed with Sumerian Records, how did that form, and how has that boosted y'all up?
So it happened pretty organically because Ash, the owner of the label, was they were already in production for Paradise City, which is the TV show that he directed and wrote and created. And so he kind of was shown our band and loved it and wanted to offer us a deal pretty right away, but we were like, no, you got to see us to like fully understand us. And he was like, he would have done it like right there, sight unseen. But we ended up going out to LA and showcasing for him and everyone, and that kind of really solidified the relationship, because, you know, we're in Atlanta, so it's like we kind of just like wanted them to like know what we were about. And I think that was really good, because it started off the relationship in a very pure way, again, to use that word. And then he, you know, was like, oh, you and Emily should be in the TV show. And so Emily and I jumped on the TV show, and we played in the Mavens on that show, which was fun for us. And we got to meet more Sumerian artists and all the dudes from Asking Alexandria and Juliet Sims. And so we just were brought into the family like that. And it was really funny, because like we, you know, we're just these like, you know, this Southern talking, you know, glam band from Atlanta that just kind of like showed up, but it was cool. So it's just been a good relationship. And I always think about the Oracle of Delphi above the temple. It would say, know thyself. And I feel that way for any artist that's embarking upon a deal or relationship with a label. I think that if you know yourself, you know, you can navigate most things, you know. And so we've just kind of known who we are, and they've they've loved us and supported us and like really brought us to the next level. So it's been a great experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been, I mean, fans of the label, forever. So the fact that, y'all are on it, that's fucking awesome. And yeah, we're from Atlanta too. And something I love about your singing style, Kimi, is your Southern accent. I don't know if you consciously do it, but you don't stray away from that country accent,
It's funny. I mean, people will see us and they'll be like thinking, oh, here's Starbenders, and like but people always think we're from LA or New York or something.
Mhm.
I'm like, hey y'all. And they're like, what? And so it's just really funny. It's funny. And I used to really feel embarrassed about my accent and where I was from and stuff. And now like I've kind of been able to own it and be proud about it. And like the fact that we're from just this, like, the fact that we found Chris in Lawrenceville, Georgia is hilarious, and like that we've come into each other's lives on what seems to be, a little bit of an island out here is pretty cool. And I think that's a big part of the magic of the band, that here we are in the desert and we've just come across one another, So.
And let's go with Audiotree Live, because that's another, thing that I've been following for a while. So being on Audiotree Live, how was that experience?
Emily or Chris, you guys want to talk?
She's not going to answer anymore.
I'm still butthurt about how shitty my snare drum sounded in that recording. But no, it was really fun though. It was a super cool experience. God, like Kimi and I, we were usually so on top of getting places on time, but that morning, I guess like we had put the alarm on PM or some shit like that, and we woke up and had to be to Audiotree in literally like 15 minutes, and we were probably like 35 or 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
We were just like, I was like, get up, we gotta go now. Like, fuck.
That was the big quote. We gotta go now.
We gotta go right now. It was like a double take when you look at your phone and you're like, this can't be right.
Yeah.
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 Oh my God. So we like all ran to the van, did the makeup in the van on the way, like driving with our feet. No, I'm just kidding. But it was crazy just getting there. And then, the studio was so beautiful, like all the lighting and stuff that they had. It was super cool. And everyone was so nice.
So nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting for us because we had that was like the first sort of studio, like really kind of big studio live performance we've done, and we're so used to it was kind of a trip for us to have to wear headphones while we're playing live, and kind of stand still, because we're not like one of those bands that just stands in one place and plays the music. We're like very animated and we really get into the flow. And so we were trying to restrain ourselves. I know for Aaron's like a fucking animal when he's performing. So we have to, we were kind of just looking at each other like, okay, all right, I really want to just rock the fuck out right now, but I can't,
Yeah, we should have duct taped around our heads.
Oh yeah, the headphones. Yeah, I was like, you guys want me to stand in one place? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
I think it was such a contrast too, because I'm pretty sure we were wrapping up something like 3 or 4 weeks on the road, and Audiotree was the last thing we were doing because the tour ended in Chicago. So it was really weird to go from, these kind of sweaty punk shows at the time to this really nice, beautiful studio. And I don't know, the contrast always stuck with me for that particular tour.
Right. That makes sense. And what's like y'all kind of described it, like how beautiful it was, having to stand there, snare drum Emily not sounding on point, but what from the outside looking in, what's something that maybe the viewers don't know? Like, do you have to record multiple takes or?
No, it's just straight through.
Yeah, it was live.
Yeah, it's live. They
It's
broadcast it.
one take, so when your snare drum sounds like shit, that's just the end game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different, those kinds of things they're a different monster. Like everything is its own pillar, and all of those kinds of performances it's a completely different thing, because you have to figure out how to sell the energy, and a big part of like what our live show is about, without being, having the freedom to move in that same way. And so it definitely tests you, and you have to kind of figure out like, okay, how can I translate this in a different way?
Yeah.
It goes back to Aaron's thing that he said earlier about rock and roll being an attitude and a vibe. And it's like, we're definitely, a lot of our stage presence is vibe and expression. So like when you go into settings like that, it's about kind of nailing it as best as you can. And, when we're playing live, we'll, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, but like we sell it all the way, we wear it on our sleeve all the way through, and I think that's like what she was saying, it's a different animal.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm in a band and it's a metal band, so of course, stage presence is everything. And even like with you guys, you still sold it because it was still a vibe. Like whether it's dancing or just moving around a little bit, or with the solo, pick whatever it is. Like y'all were able to transition into that. We're super messy to we're clean pop. That's a good transition.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Definitely. And go on, Bobby.
Since we're talking about kind of tour experiences, I was going to see what are some of your favorite tour stories over the past few years.
I just had so many things flash into my mind.
Yeah.
What's touring?
I think, I think this is what's coming up for me right now, which I don't know if it's micro enough. It's a little macro, but we'll start there. Just getting into the van together and letting the wheels roll has become something that, especially after the pandemic, that just in and of itself is so special. And thinking back on all the time and the hours that we spent in the van together, and kind of climbing in and out of hotels and clubs, and some big, some small, some people treating us good, some didn't, just everything in between. And the little stuff we do on the road to try to make things feel a little more like home, and just being there for one another in and of itself is something that I think about a lot. And we were able to kind of pick up on a couple shows recently that were the first ones that we played in a year and a half, in the live capacity, because we had done some performance, like we did a whole live performance at Maze, which was, if you look at that, kind of circling back to the Audiotree thing, like the way how we did Maze is how we wish Audiotree. You know what I'm saying? So if you are curious, you can always check out our live at Maze video. But anyway, so just that alone, and just the stupid shit that happens while you're out on the road, is something that, like, bands just rule, bands are just awesome. It's like, it sucks so bad for anyone that's not in it. Like, I like look at people so, sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad that I'm in this band, and how special that is. And so yeah, that's my big answer. I'll let the other ones take it away.
I think the best way to describe touring for me, if I kind of thought about it, is like it's like being on vacation all the time with like your best friends, like your high school, your club, your group, you know, and it's like just being on a permanent vacation. And even if shit goes completely haywire and things are really shitty at moments, they get balanced out because the moments that are good are really fucking good. But even those bad moments are time well spent because you're just with your family. And it's like, you know, it really, to me, these tours, even when we've been on big tours, they go by really fast because it's just like such a whirlwind, but also you're completely in the moment, you know, just trying to get ready for the next show and play your ass off and sell it to these people that you've never met in different cities. And that's, you know, it's all worth it because it's just like the most purposeful thing that I could be doing. And I feel, you know, the others feel probably the same way, but yeah.
I've got one where I learned about Japanese karaoke and how big a deal that is, which I was not aware of. This was, I think, on one of the Japan tours. You guys probably remember this. And there was no green room at the venue, and we were all exhausted, and we needed to sleep for a little bit because I think we'd had to get home late the previous night or get back to the hotel the previous night and leave early. So everyone's exhausted. We have a full schedule this whole Japan tour, and there's no green room, no place to lay down and shut your eyes. And so our Japanese label and their team said, well, we'll get you guys a karaoke booth. And I'm sitting over here thinking like, well, I appreciate it, but why the hell would we want to do karaoke, and what good's a booth going to do us right now? But I go along with it. And then I discover like that when you go to karaoke in Japan, it's like a whole room. It's like renting a party room. It's the functional equivalent of a party bus minus a stripper pole, although I hear sometimes they have those too. But yeah, they have lights. They have like these big long couches in the whole thing. It's specifically for like parties of 12 or more to go in there, and they get really into karaoke. They have like, you know, like preset lights and like big stereos and TV screens in there. It was a learning experience, and yes, we all did get to rest because of that. And I just recall like just really finding out how special karaoke was in Japan.
Yeah, we could rest unless the room next to you had a guy playing tambourine so loud.
Oh, right.
He must have been wasted because he loved that tambourine and would just not stop playing it for like 5 songs.
Yeah, and you're like, sir, did you bring your own tambourine?
Yeah. I was a little jealous, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
One of the memories for me was from Japan. Do y'all remember when we like worked at a record store for 45 minutes?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was so random. Our label brought us to what was that record store called?
Disc
Wasn't
something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was like a smaller indie one, right?
They had a few of them around Tokyo. I think
it was yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, we all put on aprons and acted like we worked there for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like a sort of a publicity thing. Like people show up so they can meet you and get their record signed and buy your record at the store. It's like a big event thing.
We didn't sell anybody else's records, just our own.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was awesome.
Super cool.
I just remember my outfit because I looked like an 18th century shoe cobbler.
Yeah.
Like in the apron. Look, shit.
That's amazing. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say one of the coolest things I hear from bands when they travel to countries that don't speak English is that when they get there, they're surprised to see that most of their fans know their songs word for word. Have y'all gotten that in Japan?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things that happened there was while we were playing, someone was eating these like
takoyaki.
Yeah, they're these like eel balls, or are they eel or are they squid?
I thought it was
It's octopus.
octopus.
Octopus, something slimy.
Mm.
And they were just eating them with chopsticks, like in the audience. It's like,
Yeah.
and then they like hold chopsticks out with it, and they're like, Kimmy, and I was
Yeah, you were like
oh,
wrecking a guitar solo or something.
yeah, they like fed me the takodaki or whatever it's called. That was good. That's good. No, I mean it's awesome. It's awesome. And what's cool is that before shows they have like a little powwow with all the bands and the whatever the equivalent of like the talent buyer is over there. And so all the bands meet up in a circle and introduce themselves and like talk about like where they're from and stuff. And so they would give me a paragraph in Japanese to say to everyone before we'd get started. And it was just cool because here sometimes you'll roll up to play shows and like not even make eye contact with the other bands you're playing with. You know, it's like everyone's just kind of in and out and not really giving a fuck. So you know, there it's like much more communal.
Yeah, and I've noticed that you know, like if you're playing a local show, like all the local bands for the most part kind of hang out, but once you know play bigger shows and you have a green room and separate green rooms, you might not even see the other band, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely happens. We always try to make it a point to like, you know, we try to just say hey to everyone we see, you know, because we've gone through so many situations where like people just don't even give a fuck and we're like, god damn, you know, but that's for them and we prayed for them. So
I'm glad that
It's
you went
also
super
super
southern
crazy.
just then.
It's also super crazy because instead of all the fans like rushing to the merch, they would all have a number and
yeah,
like
like a deli.
Yeah, like a deli. And then
Yeah.
somebody was, I don't know, it might have been our label owner would like call out a number and then that fan would be able to approach us and come to the merch booth.
Yeah, and have all
It was wild.
Yeah.
So organized.
Yeah, and they don't let you take a picture with the band unless you buy something over there.
Yeah.
and
But then they cover their face.
Yeah, they always cover their face. It's interesting.
Yeah.
wait, why?
I don't know. They will take a picture with you and then put an emoji or something over their face in the picture. We haven't really had that one fully explained to us, but I would say about 30 to 40% of the people over there do that. So
That's crazy. Yeah, because in America, the only way you're putting an emoji over someone's face is like, I don't fuck with this bitch anymore, but I
I love the way I look in this picture.
yeah, yeah.
And what would you say, if you have an idea, what's you guys' core fan base look like?
I mean, it's really fucking cool because it's literally all types of people from all different backgrounds. And that's something that's been really important to us, that we make our shows feel like a safe place, like where any kind of person from any race, any, you know, any background, any age group, anything can come, you know, and it makes our shows really fun. Like sometimes the audience is more interesting to look at than we are, you know, which is really cool because it's so diverse and inclusive. And that's just been something that we've really loved to see grow. And just knowing that our shows are something that our fans can kind of come and express themselves. And maybe if they've wanted to wear something or try something that they haven't had, you know, the confidence to wear, like they'll do it at our show because they know they can there and things like that, and to feel free to fully express themselves. So that's kind of our fan base. It's like our music, you know, it's all things.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Can y'all think of any specific action you've taken to make that very intentional?
Maybe it's just coming from the intention in our music. You know, it's kind of like an energy thing. And you know, in the Kabalion it says all things vibrate. And so I think that that's just been our intention the whole time, and we've been pretty selective about what we say yes and no to, as far as what shows and what venues, and making sure as much as we possibly can to play all ages venues, and just kind of thinking about that kind of stuff, thinking about how we present ourselves and what we would have wanted when we were kids, and that's kind of just it kind of just started happening on its own. It's like that if you build it they will come bullshit.
Right. And yeah, I'm big on energy, because like something I always say is you have an outlet, and like my phone, I'm kind of freaking out because I got 18%. But if I plug in the charger to that outlet and plug in my phone, then my phone's charging. But if I plug something like a safety pin or something, I'm gonna get shocked. So it's that same energy, but it depends on what I put into it or put out of that it's gonna give me. So if y'all give it energy, you're gonna get it back in return.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to put it. And a friend of mine who's into like new thought, occultism, and all that stuff, one of the things he says is that if you do not serve it, then it can't hurt you. Like, you're not gonna follow the karma. Like, and I think that like we're not serving the stuff, like the hate and the darkness and the kind of negative energies, and like all of us in our personal lives, we're all seekers, and we're always just trying to like optimize our lives in not just a musical way but a spiritual way as well, and just try to be a source of light as much as possible. And so everything's happened organically, and it's just really funny. Like, I'll have like death metal dudes coming up to me after a show, like menacing, like huge dudes, and be like, I really liked Time Stops. They're like, like love the ballad, or things like that. And it's really cool, because I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves to fall into like whatever stereotype, or like whatever, so it's just cool. It's cool to see, and we're happy to see our family grow, and in the audience.
And speaking of good energy, the Bitches Be Witches, y'all ended up doing the challenge for that, and then you had a lot of people participating in it, and it's that same little energy. Like, it gave them something to do, it challenged them to make a really good one. So whose idea was it to make that into a challenge?
I think we all kind of thought about it, and we were just trying to think of what's like cool that we could do to like where people feel the transformative energy of that song. And like all of our songs are like that in a way, like they're all a little transformative. And so we all just thought it would be so cool to have to do that, and people love the transformation challenges, like, here's me looking like shit, here's me not looking like shit, so
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Bitches Be Witches, I saw that book that was passed to the nun, but I didn't know what it was. But you just mentioned the Kabalion, and in my mind's eye, I think that's what that book was. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
What is the Kabalion? Never heard of it.
Well, it's Hermetics. It's Hermetic principles, and it's a trip. And if you're curious about the way the universe works and energies and things beyond our knowing and beyond our control, then check it out.
Yeah, are you familiar with Terrence McKenna?
Yeah.
He talks about Hermetics a lot, so I listened to that sort of philosophy from him, but I didn't realize there was a book that contained that kind of stuff in one spot.
Yeah, it's a freaky little book. You should check it out.
Cool.
And could someone explain what Hermetics is to me real quick?
So Hermetics, it was founded by Hermes Trismegistus in ancient Egypt. And it was just a school of thought around how things work. And it's both difficult and easy to explain at the same time, but it's really just about how things work and where we fall and all of that. And it's something that I dove pretty deeply into. But there's a lot of guys, like, check out Mitch Horowitz. He's kind of the master on all that stuff. Like, he knows a lot about it and has a lot of really great talks talking about the Kabalion. But yeah, if you're curious, go check it out.
It's interesting you brought up Terrence McKenna too, because he doesn't delve too much into like the occult, but he would try to analyze what he called like the cultural operating system, the things that make us work, the things that program us, and how we can either reprogram or deprogram ourselves in various ways. And I think that does dovetail a little bit into Hermetics and the occult. It's this analysis of like why we think the way we do and what purpose it serves. And is it inherent, or is it just something we absorb and we just think it's inherent? So those things are all interesting things that we consider around here.
Yeah, I like that. I'll definitely have to check it out, because I'm all about, not diving in, but just at least skimming the surface of different beliefs, thoughts, religions, whatever it is, because I grew up Christian.
Mhm.
And it's like, I've read the New Testament and I still want to read other things, because do I believe that Jesus was real? Yeah, I believe he was real, but do I believe that God sent his only son and it's only for the Western hemisphere? So if you're a Muslim, you're going to hell. It's like, I can't believe all of that. So I do like, touching on other religions or belief systems.
Yeah, that's cool. And that means you're a seeker,
Mhm.
So that, I think that's just one of the qualities of anyone that gets into that stuff. You're just looking for what sounds like the truth, and the truth has a frequency that we know just instantly, and I think that when you're seeking and just looking to kind of bring more quality to your life, these things just kind of appear. And I heard the other day someone said, how alive are you willing to be? And it just kind of all falls under that, like how do you feel the most alive?
Right. And yeah, I fucks with that a lot. Definitely fucks with that a lot.
Does this play a specific? Oh, Nate, did I cut you off?
No, you're good, man.
I was gonna say, does this play a specific role in your music?
Sometimes. I just, a lot of that stuff was like a glue that fell, and I might need to grab my laptop charger here in a second, but I needed a bonding element to my life, and I had all of these things kind of floating around, and I needed something that would unify all of them and help me to also develop as a human being. And so a lot of that stuff is where it fell into. And there's definitely a few songs that get a little woo woo. But it's like I said, we don't ask questions, just see what comes out, and like our songs Julian and things like that, like I wrote those to kind of like be a prayer, like this like moving meditation and things like that. And so it's fun to do songs like that get more like you kind of get into like a daze with it almost.
I'm really appreciating this part of the conversation. Like I almost feel like the hair on my arms is raising a little bit, because I wasn't expecting this with a big hair kind of glam rock and roll band. This is really interesting.
We're just full of surprises.
Love that. By Pandora's Box.
Yeah, hair begets hair. My hair's calling to your hair, man. All right, I'm gonna grab my charger. I'll be right back.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay.
Is this an
boss.
okay time for me to like refill my coffee cup? Because unlike Chris, I didn't roll out here with a French press.
Go ahead and
And
refill
fill it
it.
up.
I'll be right back too.
I might take a pee break as well, so I'll be right back as well.
And then there was one.
Look, I think this is your
I'm just
feedback.
gonna walk out of the room because everyone else is leaving.
Let me.
Okay, we can talk about our sponsors right quick.
This sponsor is brought to you by Emily. What's your favorite song to play live?
My favorite song to play live. Let me think for a second.
If you have one.
Probably Plastic Touch. It's off of our deluxe record. And it's just like super groovy, kind of like the verses like the Rolling Stones will kind of do. And then the chorus is kind of pop punk, and I come from a pop punk background, so I love all that shit. So that one's probably the most fun for me.
Oh yeah. And when you say pop punk, are you talking like Blink and Green Day and all of that?
Yeah, and like mostly brand new, and like Say Anything, Saves the Day, like just that emo shit that you would hear at like Emo Nite at the Masquerade or something.
That's something I still haven't been to.
I haven't either. I want to go. They're doing one later this month, I think, or in August.
Yeah, I heard it's fun. I had a friend that's go to one in Tennessee, and I've had other friends go to the ones at Masquerade. And it's like, I want to go. I just haven't made it out yet.
Yeah, same. I bet it's super fun.
Most definitely.
You just spin records from the emo genre, or do emo bands come in and play?
I think it's just like a DJ
Oh, cool.
playing like Taking Back Sunday all night.
That would be cool. I've never
Actually,
seen that.
sounds pretty fun.
I know, it sounds super fun.
There's a bar in Athens called 90s, and basically all they do is play like 90s pop hits and stuff. And I was like, where has this been all my life? I haven't been several years, but highly recommend checking it out.
No, because something I often say is I was born 1990, but it's like I was almost wish I was born to where I was, in my 20s in the 90s, just because the music was so good. I couldn't imagine, like going to a club or a bar and hearing the songs that I grew up on, but I'm a drink, I'm old enough to hang out.
For sure.
And what's on you guys' riders most times?
Okay, I'll tell you what's not on our riders anymore. One time when we did the Alice in Chains tour, I don't know what we were thinking, and this is on all of us. I'm not going to take the hit for this, but like we just decided like, let's just make sure we have Cliff Bars every time. And I don't think we might have lived on Cliff Bars for about 2 months, and we haven't eaten a Cliff Bar since. Yeah. And so now every time we do a rider, it's like, please, for the love of God, no Cliff Bars. I'm pretty sure like a year or two after that tour, we looked in like one of the top compartments in the van. We're still finding Cliff Bars. Yeah, so that's what's not on our rider anymore.
It's basically like eating a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
It's actually worse than it.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as a Snickers bar. Yeah. So we were like, why don't we just get Snickers?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Mostly sparkling water. Coconut water for Emily.
I love the potassium.
Sprouted or Ezekiel bread for Kimi. We did add the veggies and hummus to the upcoming one, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. So yeah, it's all it's pretty boring.
Yeah, Kimi sent us the Van Halen rider. What year was that from?
So this is. Have you guys seen the Van Halen rider?
No.
Oh.
So this is, I think, from, let me see if I can find the date on it. I want to say like 1982. This was their rider, but it's pretty fucking funny. Like they have this, I wonder if this is where the stereotype comes from, because they have M&Ms and then it says warning, absolutely no brown ones. So I wonder if that's where it comes from. But the best part is that they have one large tube of KY jelly on here,
Oh.
which is exceptional. And then they also have
Which is now on our writer as well.
yeah,
Obviously.
I never thought of that.
Just for Aaron and Chris.
Yeah, yeah, make it a
Yes,
little
put that
easier
on
for 'em.
there.
And then it was like herring, like pickled herring and cream or something
Oh,
like that.
That's disgusting.
Just
Wow.
like, fucking crazy shit.
I
Anyway,
think they put that stuff on there so they would know that whoever was doing hospitality would that they had actually read the writer.
yeah.
You know, because if you go to the trouble to pick out every brown M&M or at least ask the question, then you've at least read it.
Exactly. Makes sense. And while y'all were gonna ask Emily this question, but what's y'all's favorite song to play live?
Favorite time?
song.
Oh, song.
Aaron's
Gotcha.
like 8:15.
Yeah, early, please. That's at all possible. Yeah.
I said Plastic Touch, by the way.
Oh, favorite song to play live.
Salt for me. Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just a really unusual song, like in the sense that it's got this this crazy riff, and then like the ending is this kind of not like a breakdown, but this sort of instrumental part that really gets me off for some reason. And I feel the same way about the recording, like the actual song. Like every time I listen to it, I'm just like kind of blown away that that's our song. And it's a really like the rhythm and the way the guitars are layered and Kimi's vocals and everything about it is just very unique. It's like, I don't think it's pulling from a couple of different sounds and bands and stuff, but it's just a really interesting blend of styles, and I love playing that song live.
I'm gonna go with Death by Amplifier, because I like seeing the reaction of the crowd when we do it. I like watching everybody's hair get blown back a little bit. There's always a certain element of shock, especially when it's for a crowd that may be a little bit newer to us, because we show up to venues or sound checks, or we walk on stage and we look the way we do, and then Death by Amplifier is just so brutal. And I really do like the dichotomy between that, and I think it's almost confusing, it's weird, and I like being a part of that.
Hell yeah. And if you don't have a favorite song to play live, Kimi, what song means most to you?
I love this, like when we play stuff, like when people are like, when they get really into it and they're like singing every word. Like lately it's been Cover Me. People find that they perk up instantly, and I just think it's really cool to when I see like someone like laser eye right at me, like, oh, I'm singing the same words you are, motherfucker, and they just like, I love the energy, like where they're communicating to me in that moment how much the song means to them. And I love looking right back at them and uncomfortably long eye contact. And sometimes people like they get maxed out. They're like, okay, I mean, this was cool for the first. Now I feel like this bitch is like casting a spell on me. But
you are.
Yeah, sometimes she is.
Right.
But I love there's like a few songs where, again, the energy, like if I feel like we're really like stepping on it and it sounds really good, I'll get choked up and like instantly want to cry, that's always been my indicator of like when I'm on the money, like when I'm writing and the hook pops into my head or something pops into my head, I instantly choke up. And it's like, it's always been my reaction when stuff is really locked in. And that happens a lot on like songs like Blood, and Holy Mother will get like that. And they all will have their moments with that. And it's just this energy thing. I don't even know. And I don't know if any of y'all have tried to sing through a soft cry, but it's terrible. It's like so fucking hard to sing through a gentle cry. You know, it's like you're just voice cracking, all this kind of shit. And I'll be like, well, it did sound good until that soft cry.
Well, hey, there's that purity and the energy right there. Like, you know, I'm
Yeah,
just
I'll be
gonna
like,
sing through it.
yeah, I'll be like, or like we'll be doing One of Us or something. We've been doing that in our encore, and I'll be like, I'm not gonna be around, left my heart on the road. Yeah.
Right. And you guys mentioned the Alice in Chains tour. How was that? And also, how did that come together? Because that's fucking amazing.
That's another Nico shot. He is best friends with William Duvall, who's the lead singer now. And basically William loved the band and had been introduced to us through Nico, and he's a fellow ATLian.
Mm-hmm.
And he just really put his neck out there for trying to get us onto that tour, and we got it, and it was fucking hilarious because we didn't even have a booking agent then. You know, and everybody was like, how the fuck did you guys get this shit?
Right.
We were like, we're good, you know. So
Well, my personal favorite was, who the fuck are you guys?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like no one's nephew, so
Yeah. I think
But-
part of it was like we opened for them in Atlanta, which was a trip, and it was awesome. But then afterwards, you know, I remember us talking to the band, and they had said something about us doing a full tour. And I mean, sure enough, it was like 3-4 months later,
yeah,
we ended up doing it.
yeah, we got like a test run. But it was really cool. I mean, God, probably I look at that as being like a huge moment in our lives and in our growth, because it was, I mean, we pulled that shit off ragtag, and
Yeah.
it was really cool, and it was so cool to share the stage with like fucking Alice in Chains. Like I remember like being in my room alone trying to learn like Man in the Box when I was like 13, you know. So it's like it's you know, it was a trip.
It was so funny that first show when we pulled up to this massive venue and they have like 5 buses and trucks and we're just in our tiny Ford Transit, like no room in the van for
Yeah, it was
anything else.
Like a clown car. Like we had
Yeah.
like 8 of us in there, no trailer, all our gear, all of our
Yeah.
suitcases.
Was that before you ever went to Japan, or were you kind of?
It
used to
was
being-
right before we
before.
did Japan. So that fall of that year was a really, like, we had been doing, that was the year we did Audiotree too. We had been doing like these kind of self-booked tours, like house shows in college towns, wherever we could play. And we'd been hustling and grinding. And then we went from that to Alice in Chains, then to hopping on a plane and doing Japan, which was actually when we started talking with Sumerian and getting the first offers from them. So I think Kimi alluded to this earlier. I'm always going to view that tour as like a really pivotal moment for the band, as far as like stepping up and rising to the challenge, and, you know, and meeting it.
Yeah.
And would y'all rather play larger shows and venues, or that more intimate feel?
Just give us
Oh,
shows
just
to
full-
play.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
like to play.
yeah. And
Just
like
any show.
it's really fun when the place is packed out too, you know. And it's like I said earlier, that there's different pillars and different things, and when the show's just completely packed out, like if I would rather play a packed out show in a smaller venue than like a half cap show in a bigger venue, you know. But
Yeah.
but we just take whatever.
Yeah.
Are there any tours coming up this year that you can either allude to or fully announce?
We can allude to things happening that we have been having to bite our tongues about, but it's really cool. It's really exciting, and we hope it happens. Please, Lord, don't let the world fall apart again. But
Yeah, no kidding.
We should have some pretty cool news coming soon.
Awesome. Keep an ear out for that.
Yeah, man.
And y'all have a single coming out on August 6th, you said?
August 6th, yes.
August 6th. And do you have of course you have a name for it. Can you give us the name of it?
No one listened.
What was that?
No one listened.
Yeah.
Name.
No one listened. They're like, is that the song name? I'm like, is it the song name?
I think this is probably the first time that we've actually said anything publicly about what the name of the single would be. So this is one of those times where I get to say you heard it here first. Yeah.
Thanks for the exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what's up. Cool. Well, yeah, we'll be looking out for that single August 6th.
Yay.
And just to respect y'all's time, we're getting near the end. And one thing I really want to hear about is that y'all work with a lot of charities. I want to kind of hear about some of the work that you do with them and how those partnerships came about.
Yeah, it's always been very important to us to work with charities that help the homeless population, specifically homeless LGBTQIA youth. And there's a charity here called Lost and Found, and they have a really cool thrift store, but they also help kids have places to stay and give them places to do their homework and stuff. And so that's been really important to us. And really just, we love focusing on the people that don't have as much of a voice in charities. And so we also worked with Children of the Night, which they're an organization that helps kids that are brought into sex trafficking at a young age. And what they do is they help them have a place to stay and live, and help them either, get back in school or get their GEDs, get jobs, and just have a safe environment to kind of come out of that life. So that's been something that we definitely like to support.
Hell yeah, most definitely. That's what's up. Well, it's been beautiful speaking to y'all. Happy belated birthday, Emily. Did you do anything fun for it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did the best thing. We played a show in Nashville and it was great.
Yeah.
At a bowling alley.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's awesome.
But we've all made a pact that we're not allowed to go bowling because we don't want to hurt our wrists.
Yeah, man.
But I promise we're rock and roll as fuck.
Yeah, we're very rock and roll.
We just can't go bowling.
Rock and roll and self-care over here.
Yeah.
Right. Hell yeah.
And Emily, is the girls, or I Hit Like a Girl contest still going on? Or has it ended?
Oh no, it's been over for a couple months now, I think.
Oh, I missed it. I was gonna have you promote it, but I guess we're too late.
What was
It'll
that?
come back around.
Okay, yeah. We'll come back around.
Hell yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your time. Loved what we spoke about. It was amazing. And yeah, fuck yeah. Hopefully I'll get to see y'all soon.
Yeah.
We hope to see you soon.
If whenever we get said news, might have something we can have you and your brother out to in September. So
that would be
awesome.
Fuck yeah. Well, Bobby, let these people know what to do, man.
Yeah, stay black.
Don't be wet.